You never know who will step up to the mic at a pop-up on the local scene. During our trip to the Plymouth Waterfront Festival, we ran into former Old Colony Memorial managing editor Scott Smith, where he told us the story of how the festival led to a meet-cute with the love of his life.
I'm with Scott Smith. He has a fantastic story that took place right at the Waterfront Festival.
Well, I think it's pretty fantastic, and I've told it a few times in private circles, but never publicly. So if my wife picks up on this, she'll love it. It's because of the Waterfront Festival that I met my wife. And this was in August of 2016, and I was very much single at the time, and I was walking the festival because I always came to the festival. And I happened to run into Betty Cavaco of Manomet and the Manomet Youth Center. And Betty was manning a booth, and we only knew each other through email exchanges, through press releases that she'd send me and I'd get in the paper and so on. So it was nice to see her. And so I went over to her booth, and we spent the next hour talking in between people visiting her booth, and we just talked to get to know each other, because we didn't know each other as human beings, just as entities, you know. So after that great conversation, becoming familiar with each other and starting the very beginning of what would become a friendship, it was a month later when Betty reached out to me on Facebook Messenger, and she said to me, "Hi, are you still single?" And I went, uh-oh. And I wrote back, yeah, why? And she replied, "I think I know the person you're supposed to be with." Well, that raised my ears a little bit, and I said to myself, you know, I thought I was kind of retired from this part of life, but you never know. Let's see what's going on here. We went back and forth, we exchanged information. She told me about Lee. I learned a lot of great things about her character, her quality of a person she is, the fact that she's a strong woman, raised her son as a single mom. A lot of traits that I really appreciate and value in another person, and certainly in another woman, like being a strong and lovely sounding person. And then I said, "Oh, but I have one question." She said, "What's that?" And I said, "Does she like jazz?" And she said, "Wait a minute." I said, "What do you mean, wait a minute?" A minute later, she comes back and said, "Yes, she does." I said, "Betty, are you messaging with her at the same time?" She said, "Yeah, I've been going back and forth between you for the last 20 minutes. And she's interested in meeting you because I told her that I think I met the male version of you." Well, after all those exchanges, we couldn't help it. We exchanged phone numbers. We called. I asked her out a couple nights later. We met at Solstice Restaurant. And of course, I got there about 20 minutes early, went in, talked to the hostess, made sure we had the best table in the place, everything was ready, everything was properly positioned. I said, "No, we won't sit across, we'll sit corner to corner." Went back outside to welcome her. And she said later on, "When I walked up and saw you standing outside of the restaurant waiting for me, told me that this is a pretty special guy." And we hit it off. We spent the evening talking, the best conversation I ever had in my life. In fact, we closed the place down, and all the wait staff are standing around like this, saying, "Okay, you know, we got to close." One date led to another, and as I like to say, I knew on the second date, and as she always says, she knew on the third. And we've been together ever since. We got married at the end of the next year, and we're going on 6 years of wedded bliss.
You guys are couple goals. I love it. I love it. What a great
And it's
story.
all because of meeting Betty Cavaco here at the Harbor Festival in 2016. If that hadn't happened, I'd still be living in my little North Plymouth 4th floor walk-up. All by myself.
It was fate. It was fate. Scott, thank you so much for sharing that story.
Thank you for allowing me to. It's a fun story. I love telling it. Thank you.
Hi friends, if you like this video by the local scene, share the love and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe.